Disney's latest retelling of one of their classic films is Cruella. One of their remakes, I guess? This isn't exactly a remake like a lot of the others. This is a prequel, I guess, to 101 Dalmatians. And I guess this is a prequel to 101 Dalmatians. And so it's not like a lot of the other remakes, especially a lot of the recent ones, because it's not adapting the story, it's taking place before the story. Since 101 Dalmatians already had a live-action interpretation back in 1996, and even got a sequel, both of which were terrible. So, I know most people have a really hate the remakes. Like, they just hate the, like, even, they will just watch the movie and they will just hate it without even watching the movie. I've, like, seen people that hate the remakes even though they can't tell you a single thing that happens because they didn't actually watch it. They just hate it because, oh, Disney remake, I have to hate this. I mean, people that do watch it go in with that bias in their heads, like, okay, it's a Disney remake, I'm gonna go in wanting to hate this. Me, I go in wanting to like these films. That doesn't happen often, because I have kind of a love-hate relationship with these, because I actually really enjoyed some of the remakes, like Aladdin and The Jungle Book and Pete's Dragon. But then there are all other ones that insulted me so bad, like last year's Mulan, which many of you probably already know, The Lion King, which I did a cinematic disasters for, and Beauty and the Beast, and Alice in Wonderland, and Maleficent 2, and Alice in Wonderland 2, and even the original 101 Dalmatians I didn't like, or Dumbo, or all of these other remakes. Like, there have only been maybe 5 or 6 good ones, and maybe like 1 or 2 mediocre ones. Because like I said, I enjoyed Aladdin, I enjoyed Jungle Book, I liked Sorcerer's Apprentice, I liked Christopher Robin, and I liked Pete's Dragon. That was it. Cinderella was mediocre, and the rest sucked. So, I went into this film with, I don't want to say low expectations, because I wanted to like this film. This film looked really good from the promotional material. Then again, so did the live-action Beauty and the Beast, and so did the live-action Mulan. And they fucking tricked us. So, by the way, if my camera seems tilted, that's because it is. This stand is not exactly straight, so if this is looking like Battlefield Earth, it basically, hang on, let's see if I can fix this. Yeah, I think I fixed it. Yeah, okay. That better? Okay. So, I didn't go into this with, like, low expectations. I actually went in thinking, like, okay, I'm probably gonna think this is okay. Man, did I like this way more than I was expecting. This is similar to what happened with Aladdin, where I'm like, okay, this is probably going to be my second or third favorite of the remakes. I know I'm probably gonna like this, and it ends up being my favorite. Because I didn't think it was going to top Jungle Book, and then holy crap, Aladdin just kicks ass and comes in clutch and becomes my favorite of the remakes. Cruella, I was expecting, like, okay, this is probably going to go in, like, the 6th spot. This is going to be in the okay range, like, probably right above Cinderella, which, again, I thought was mediocre. It wasn't that great. It wasn't very good, but it wasn't awful. This one I thought was going to be better than that. I thought it was just going to be okay. Like, okay, I don't hate this, but this isn't great. I thought it was going to be okay. And I liked it way more than I was expecting. And I'll throw the easy positives right out of the way first. Emma Stone is fantastic as Cruella de Vil. Or I guess Estella is her real name. And she knocks it out of the park here, and Emma Stone is one of my favorite actresses. She has very good range, and especially since she's still the only love interest in a Spider-Man film that's worth half a damn. That automatically, Emma Stone is a win. She's also great in films like La La Land and all these other recent films as well. So I knew she was going to be good in this. And Emma Thompson, who apparently just can't get out of stuff like this, who was also in that awful Beauty and the Beast remake. She played Mrs. Potts. Very well, might I add, though. One of the only redeeming things in that. But she plays a narcissistic, douchey fashion design. Not even a fashion designer. She doesn't design jack shit. She's more like the face of the company, where she like wears all this designer stuff. I wouldn't say she's a model even, because she's really not. But she's basically like the face of her own company, but does fuck all. And she basically like takes all the credit for all this stuff. And you know what? Especially in this economy and in this time period, this character is totally believable, and Thompson sells it very well. I don't really recognize any of the other actors. If I do, they're slipping my mind, but everyone does their job pretty well. I liked Horace and Jasper in this, which is surprising, because I thought they were kind of obnoxious in 101 Dalmatians, the live-action 101 Dalmatians. They were some of my least favorite parts of that film. And though I did like him in 101 Dalmatians, they weren't, like, my favorite characters. The best was Cruella DeVille, obviously. But, so I actually really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed Horace and Jasper in this. I know a lot of people came up with, like, the race stuff in Lady and the Tramp. There it didn't bother me, because I didn't really notice. This one I did. Because they cast a black woman as Anita. Why? Just why? They also race swapped Jasper as well. Why? I know a lot of people get up in arms about whitewashing. Why is the reverse praised or just turned a blind eye? This is an issue as well, especially since this is supposed to be a prequel to 101 Dalmatians, and this person, it looks nothing like how she's supposed to look in the animated film, like, at all. Yeah, that's definitely not an issue, but, oh, God forbid if the MCU made the Ancient One white. For fuck's sake, who cares? Just the woke idiots on the internet care, mostly, but, God. Why is this not more of an issue? But I'm getting off topic. Oh, I did forget about Mark Strong, who you might know as Dr. Savannah from Shazam. He plays the, I guess the head of security for Thompson's character, the Baroness. He's basically her head of security, and basically, and he does play a bigger role than I was expecting, because at first he just seemed like he was just kind of there. I'm like, really? They got Mark Strong for this? But he plays a bigger role than I expected, and then he basically ends up working for Cruella at the end of the film. So, pop my hip. So, one of the things I really liked about this film were the references to the animated film. Especially with the mid-credit scene, which I won't spoil, and if you haven't seen the film. But, one, that actually really surprised me. Two, it surprisingly made sense. I'm not gonna lie, at first, I was thinking when she gave him the box, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be Pongo and Parita in there. I'm like, okay, and then I'm like, really? That's what we're doing? And then I thought about it for a few seconds, I'm like, you know what? I buy this. I buy it. And I do like that, freaking... What is the guy's name? Oh my god, it's Anita and the guy. It'll come to me eventually. But they're in the film. They don't play a big. Anita plays a bigger role than she should, but the guy just kind of shows up here and there and just kind of disappears from the movie after a while. Like, he's in all of, like, 3 scenes, has maybe 5 lines of dialogue apiece, and then he just kind of disappears the second half of the movie. I mean, they explain why, but he just kind of disappears. So, and I'm getting off topic. And to be fair, this movie actually starts off, it sets its tone right from the very beginning. Because this is a darker and more mature movie than a lot of these other remakes. Especially Mulan. Mulan did not need a PG-13 rating. This movie earned its PG-13 rating. Mulan did not. That could have been a PG. There was no blood. There was nothing there that should have given it a PG-13 rating. Yet Alice in Wonderland, which is borderline R rating, gets a PG. Bullshit. But once different problem for a different day. But so this movie actually earns its PG-13 ratings. It actually starts off pretty dark, and while it gets a little lighter as it goes along, it still keeps its more mature tone. I saw that when I looked this up, when I Googled this movie because I was gonna look at some of the skim over some of the reviews for this. I saw that it was listed as a crime and comedy. That's just not true at all. Crime, sure. Comedy, fuck no. Don't get me wrong, there are some humorous moments, and there are actually some very good ones from especially Horace and Jasper, especially Horace. But this is not a comedy movie. I would have put this as a crime and drama film, not a comedy. So that didn't make sense whatsoever, because I was like, oh, comedy? Really? Even from the trailers, because a lot of people have compared this to Joker. Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, it's storming outside. Probably should have saved this till tomorrow, but whatever. So yeah, that's thunder. I completely I was gonna say something about that, but I completely forgot until that shit. So okay, yeah. So back to it. I forgot what my point was. Balls. Okay, so yeah, it has some really good lighthearted moments, especially out of Horace, and I like his little dog, Wink, because he has one eye and the other one has an eye patch over it. Wink. Get it? So, but it doesn't. For fuck's sake. Okay, I'm gonna keep the rest of this brief. So it gets a lot of lighthearted moments, especially out of Horace, and I like his dog. I like the two dogs they have, Buddy and Wink. Motherfucker. So, and God, it's making me lose my train of thought. For fuck's sake. One of my favorite things in this film, I'm just gonna move on from that. One of my favorite things in this movie is the soundtrack. It has a very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque soundtrack where it's a lot of 60s and 70s music that blends in with the movie pretty well. So I would actually willingly go out and buy the soundtrack for this film, just like I would for the Guardians films. So they did a very good job there, and I like the score. The score itself is actually pretty good too. This film is shot beautifully too. I love the landscapes. I love the shots. I especially love when Estella first starts working at this one fashion design place, where it basically shows you the entire interior of the building in one shot. Like, it just moves throughout all the rooms and all the hallways until it finally gets to Estella. And it's just really nice tracking shot where it just goes throughout the entire building, and I was shocked how well this movie was done. Like, this is made by a director that I'd never even heard of. Like, this guy directed movies that I had heard of, like I, Tonya and some of this other stuff. But they're always movies I had zero interest in whatsoever. So I had no idea who this guy was, but this film was directed very well, and it was shot beautifully. And I've seen a lot of this kids stuff. And this is not a kids movie. I would say this is more a family movie. This isn't a kids movie. But I've seen them, a lot of people like to focus in, the 1920s, especially shit like Legend of Korra and stuff like that, where they like to focus on the 1920s, which is, the worst era of the 20th century. I don't know why people, keep doing this shitty steampunk-esque cities that look awful from the worst age of the 20th century. This one takes place in, I want to say late 60s, early 70s. I couldn't remember. I think it said a year at some point, but I couldn't remember. I think the 70s, but it really doesn't matter. It's around that time. And so I like the setting of all these films. I like all the locations, and unlike shit like Mulan, it actually, you're able to anchor yourself in new locations because it has good establishing shots. There are a few plot twists in this movie. I know I'm kind of jumping around, but I'm trying to get this done quick because the storm is really getting on my nerves. So there are a few plot twists in this film. I'm not going to give them away, but at first they didn't really make sense. The more and more I thought about it, they started to make a bit more sense, but I do kind of wish that they hadn't pulled this, because I feel like it takes away from what Cruella de Vil is supposed to be. But honestly, it doesn't detract from the film at all. But it just, if you don't have any background knowledge on Cruella, you may think this is like a perfect origin story for her. But if you know anything about Cruella de Vil, you think some of these choices should have been changed. I think both of these plot twists, either one of them should have been deleted or both of them, because at first it just kind of turns into her. It's basically Joker at the start. Actually, the entire thing is like Joker, because by the end it becomes a generic revenge film. This is way better than Joker, because I hated that. That movie was stupid as hell. And it only gets worse the more I think about it. This film, it's actually getting better the more I think about it, because I'm appreciating more and more that they took this concept, which on paper sounds really stupid. If you told me a villain was going to get an origin story, like they already did Maleficent, sure. If you told me another Disney villain was going to get an origin story, Cruella de Vil? Really? I would love to see one on Jafar or something, or Scar, or hell, even Shan Yu from Mulan would be a better candidate. But really, Cruella de Vil? It's like the people that complain, like, who was asking for a Han Solo film, even though everybody was asking for a Solo film before that came out, before it actually came out. But I already ranted about that in my review of Solo. Go check that out. So yeah, so I'm just gonna wrap it up here. This movie is actually very good. I was shocked how good this film actually was. I highly recommend this film. If you like 101 Dalmatians, the animated film, the live-action film, or 102 Dalmatians, I don't think anybody likes that, and if you do, good for you, weirdos. And even if you don't like them, I still think you can enjoy this film for what it is. It's a nice crime drama. It's got some really... I like the heist portions of it. It's actually very well laid out. It's like the Ant-Man movies, where it's very well laid out. And unlike Army of the Dead's heist scene... Yes, I'm going to get to that soon. End my suffering. So... yeah, that's all I've got for Cruella. I'm going to give this a very surprising, even to me, 4.6 out of 5. I did not expect to go this high with the film, and I have a feeling that by the end of the year, this may even jump even higher. Because this is a film I would definitely watch again, unlike a lot of these other shitty remakes that I never want to watch again. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button for more reviews. And tell me what you thought of Cruella down in the comments. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you indifferent to it like I thought I was going to be? Let me know. Yeah, I saw that flash of lightning too. So that's all I've got for Cruella, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.